once again, welcome back to Chats with Jack. I am Jack Talcott. And greetings, blessings, salutations, and love once again. Welcome back to Chats with Jack. I am Jack Talcott, and I am truly at peace, filled with love, filled with joy, ready to get started again today. And I am so grateful for all of you swinging in. And yeah, I hear you, RJOG62. The ads are annoying. I understand that. We're going to figure all this out. Hopefully that homeless guy isn't running Jack's stream again. Well, it is. This homeless guy is here again today with the topic and the stream idea of inviting greater love into your experience. And the reason, the why of inviting greater love into your experience, and the why I hope that we can discuss that today, is because you and I, you are here for more than you dreamed. And if you allow yourself to accept that, you might find the signs that confirm that. And if you find the signs that confirm what you accepted to be true, that you're here for more than you dreamed, then you can start trusting in that. Because it's through finding the signs that you can build your beliefs and learn how to trust in what you believe. But the key is to know, right? To actually choose and recognize. This is something I learned from trial and error. It is the truth. I'm not the only one who's come to this conclusion, but the reality is love is what gets you through it, man. But you got to give yourself permission to feel love. And the reality is the power of love, it's a choice to remember. You must choose to remember your power. You must choose to remember your strength. Otherwise, the mind will convince you it's not there. And if your love isn't there and strength isn't there, guess what seems pretty logical? The idea of quitting, man, that's not fun. So the power of love is a choice to remember, but to know love, one has to accept that they have the ability and the power to feel it, even when times are tough. And when times are tough, it's hard to remember that the power of love is there for you, but love is what gets you through it, man. You've got to give yourself permission. Just as you give yourself permission to feel bad, to feel sad, to feel angry. It may not be a conscious decision, but at some level of awareness, there's a choice that's being made to feel and to process what we're feeling. But what I'm learning, hey, blessings to all of you. Love, it really is. Love is the answer. It's the way. And without love, none of us would be here. It is a damn good day, Austin. And you know what? Here's the deal with Jack. Jack's always got a lot to say. Hearing thunder out there. Jack's always got a lot to say. But at the same time, love is not allowing people to blaze and take over your stream. I agree. Hey, blessings to the friend, and love the taco idea, and thank you for sharing me with your time. Sam Uplander, Jack, you will never stop looping. Never say never, my friend, because as soon as I succeed and as soon as this world knows peace, well, Jack's going to stop looping about ending wars. I mean, that's pretty simple. Um, Here, the ideas today, though, love and God and the truth and all of the good things in life. They're here. Okay. It's here and now is when we are. So if you can see now with a sense of goodness, even considering all the mitigating circumstances and all the evidence that says, no, now is not good. Now is not good enough. No. If you can see past that, if you can see past the darkness, then you see the light. And when you see the light, you recognize that the light you see, it's simply a reflection of you, right? What happens is we find ourselves in the darkness, we find ourselves in these challenging parts of life, and it's for the purposes of character development. I mean, that's the whole point of life, to develop your character into the greatest version of you that the world can discover, and that you can discover the greatest version of you. It's with you, here and now. That's what I decided for myself, is that there is a greater version of me that's waiting to come through me. And the world around me, in the past, I didn't think the world around me deserved my goodness. I never thought to share my goodness because I was stuck in the dark. I was trapped in my mind's limitations, and I felt hopeless, sad. I was miserable until I got sick of being miserable. And then when I got sick of being miserable and nobody else seemed to care about my misery, well, I figured, well, shit, I better do something about it. I don't want to be stuck here like this, because the future of misery, it's not very fun. Really, there's just one idea that was really bouncing around my head today, regarding God, life, and the order of creation. And in my interpretation, it seems to make sense to me that as it was written and as it's been told, it makes logical sense that at some point in the past, perhaps, there was an order laid out, a physical order, a chemical order, an order of energy, and all these other things. And that order was laid out, and creation began. And so through God's order, the story of creation started to develop. And the purpose of creation is for life to live. And through time, all sorts of life, very diverse forms of life are here just on this planet, right? Between the vegetation and the animals and the fish and all this other stuff, there is an abundance of life being lived here in a variety of forms. So that tells me that that's probably a natural part of the purpose of creation, for life to live in all the various forms, to express life and experience life. That's what life is about. But then you got to figure out, what is life? What does that mean? What is a life? How long does a life last? When does a life begin? When does a life end? I mean, is it with the idea of a life, with the creation of a life, with the animation of a life? When the animation ends, is a life ending, or does a life end when the memory fades from those who remember the life? Because life is just this beautiful expression of a phenomenon of energy. And this dynamic energy that brings forth life has given us very simple rules to follow, right? If you want to live a good life, live with love. I can't say it more simply than that. I don't know that Jesus could have said it. He did say it that simply. He said the commandment is love. Love one another as I loved you. And his love, man, his love is what I hope to emulate. I hope to replicate in my life is the love of God. This powerful, never ending, never fading, never wavering love. That's what I anticipate, I imagine God's love to be. And I can only hope to be like that, right? And if you accept the fact that is what we are like, as it was said, we are made in the image of God, we are made in the image of life, right? And we are the living truth. The living truth is of you, is you. And the living truth of you, it's shown and lived by what you say and what you do. But just like me, what you say and what you do, it's going to be greatly influenced by what you keep in here and what you discover in here, right? In the heart space. Hey, I love this. Love is what we were born with, and fear is what we learned here. And fear it can easily become a mind virus that takes over. Nude Guru, I disagree. Well, actually, I do agree. We are invisible. The true nature of me, the true nature of you is not visible. It's in the inner state, in the inner being. That's what I realized. The true nature of me is no thing. I am nothing. I accept that and I embrace that. I am nothing. I am not a thing. I am a being who is becoming. And that's not a thing. That's like a verb. I mean, and that's what we are. We are, I don't know. Tell you what, I can ramble and I can talk, but I hope things do make sense. And rather than just me rambling and talking, I am going to go ahead and we'll drop this link. We'll see where the day goes. I don't anticipate, honestly, on running exceptionally long. It's pretty hot in here again today. And sometimes I wonder if less is more, especially with some of the ideas I talk about. Inviting greater love into your experience. Get back to that. It's objective ethics. Hey, truly enjoyed the discussions last night. I didn't catch all of it. I caught the first part until the panels opened up, and then I kind of shut it down. But love the discussions. And objective ethics, thank you for your support, your generosity, and contribution. With this wisdom, love is the energy that drives us to live our best lives for ourselves and for those with whom we share this energy, this love. Baby, that is so true. Let love be with everything. Everything we do, everything I do. It's not a hotel, man. I actually bought this color because I was unsure about the red ones, but there's AC, but I guess I'm kind of a cheapskate, to be honest. Try to save money, at least with my current budget. Where was I going? Inviting greater love into your experience. Now, I chose those words the way I did for a reason. Greater love means you got to accept that there's at least some love in your experience. Okay. And this is where it can be kind of, I don't know the word. We can look in the wrong place for love. That's where I'm getting at, right? Because part of our path, part of the story of creation, part of the purpose of creation, and for life to live in all the diverse forms and ways, Where was I going, Jack? I was going to land that somewhere. Part of that purpose. I totally lost where I was going. Uh, Inviting greater love into the experience. You got to recognize that there is love present with you. That's where I was going. In this path of life, where it is the purpose is to live and express life in diverse different ways. Well, part of the way that life is expressed is to develop and grow, not just the physical form, but the spirit, the emotion, the intelligent form of us, right? Character. The character of you may be expressed and seen, but the character is really just an idea. It's a story. To make the story better, bring more love into the moments. Because the reality is, there is only this present moment. And if you can be still in the present moment, then look for what is not there. When you're still, hopefully, right, in the stillness and the peace, you can notice that worry, while there may have been, you may have memories of worry and you may know of reasons to worry, but if you sit in the stillness in the presence, you might notice that there's a little separation between you and worry. Even if it's for a few minutes, notice the separation, right? Because in the absence of worry, the absence of sadness, the absence of anger, the absence of fear, what do you have? You got peace, perhaps contentment. And with the contentment and the peace, perhaps you can find some comfort. And maybe with the comfort and the contentment, maybe you can even find a little joy. And with joy, man, that's where love brings all those things together. You can only be still for so long, and then you need to do something in order to grow. That is what our mind tells us, and I've battled against and for that idea many times in my own. But the fact is, there are many examples throughout history, very divine and saintly men and women who have gone and sat still for years, practicing stillness. Each of us has our own path and our own purpose, right? Oh, I love this one. Yep. God is love. Whoever abides in love abides in God, and God abides in him. How much more clear can it get, right? How do we have such confusion if you can accept that as truth? I mean, I think I think it's hey, that's what I was saying, Patrick. Thank you. The Buddha grew by doing nothing much. That is how the path is sometimes found, is in the stillness, not in the chaos. And sometimes in the chaos, the practice that I learned for myself and the one I want to share with you, the practice is to pause. Tell your mind, shh, tell your mind, slow down, right? Pause, be still, find what works for you between the mind and your heart. You can speak to you, and if you're anything like me, my body does kind of listen. I think this is actually what the idea of prayer is about as well. Speaking our inner being into being so that the higher consciousness hears it, the Holy Spirit knows. It's just waiting for us to know. That's what I'm thinking. And I agree with this too. Love is our destiny. And we do not find the meaning of life by ourselves alone. We find it with another. The meaning of life The meaning of life I found that gave my heart satisfaction and comfort was the humbling, right? I had to lessen me to recognize there was greater within me. And that's in line with the scripture too. I become less, so Christ becomes more. Um, it's the whole idea of stepping aside to let the Holy Spirit live through. And if the Holy Spirit is going to live with you and through you and for you, you're not living for just yourself anymore. Not at all. And many of us feel like we're not living for ourselves. I know many moms and dads, they go through the routines of work and all the schedules and all the running around, and they're not living for themselves. They're living for their children. They're living for their employer. They're living for the life around them, but it's not necessarily the greater vision. That's something this one, hijack, something I'll never say on a plane. I worked in Spokane. Our post office was right there at the airport. So I heard that joke constantly. And then with the name Jack, you always got the Jack and Jill and all the nursery rhymes and all that stuff too. But the highest love vibe one can have is from God. A love of love. A love of love will amplify the feelings of love. So if you can find just even a small piece of love within you and focus on how good that love feels for you, even if that subject, the topic, the idea of what's sparking that love within you, even if it's far from you, if you can fall in love with the feeling of love, that's what self-love is about. Because the true nature, love is not a thing. You are not a thing. You and I we are aspects of God's love being lived out in this life, given the opportunity to develop and refine the character of who we are. You know, when we started out, we didn't choose a name. We didn't choose a mom and dad, not at least on this part of life. We didn't choose where we started. May not have chosen the religion, may not have chosen the gender, may not have chosen the color, may not have chosen anything, right? The culture we're born into is just where we start, but where we start isn't necessarily where we end, at least not in the physical form, but in the spiritual form. In the beginning was God, in the end was God, and throughout it all was God's love. Where are you? Where are you in relationship to God and God's love for you? Now, I say it like that for a reason. I resisted the idea that there was a loving God for a long time. And even more so, I resisted the idea that this loving God could have love for a man like me. Nothing special. I made a lot of mistakes in my life. But eventually I found trust in that. We got a guest. I don't fully recognize, but I think it's Spec Man. Welcome. How are you today?
Hey, good evening. I've spoken to you on DNW, so
Thank you. I thought I
I,
recognized the name,
I,
but
I,
bless you.
I, I'm the guy that has all of the crazy ideas about communities working collectively and sharing their resources to make a better world. So, I mean, it could be that I've got it all wrong in the application, but the sentiment of communities coming together and sharing and having happy, healthy communities is better than having happy, healthy individuals, if you see what I mean.
I believe the two go together. Yes, I think I see what you're saying. The healthier the community, the more likelihood of healthy individuals. Whereas if we focus But then again, if the individuals focus on their health, then the result is a healthy community.
Yes, there's a symbiosis going on there. Yes, it's like what you said just now about if you can find a small piece of love, eh, and you learn to love that love, it kind of multiplies itself. So I agree with you. It resonates with me, those words.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Hey, and I'm not familiar with the concepts or what you're suggesting, but community serving communities. I've encountered a number of people with those ideas. Um, Different
Oh,
groups.
oh
Have you?
yes. Oh yeah, we are legion. It's kind of funny. The difference between myself, I think, is that it's normally to be found in small communities, close knit communities, and in places like cities and that, you can have a small community of people within that city, and that can be a nice healthy interaction with that group of people. I just want that thing that the small communities have. I want every single man, woman, and child on the face of planet Earth to have access to it. So
Brother, we're on the same page. Let me swing back to this. Um, Stephen, thank you for your contribution and you're making your opinion clear. I suggest that you are a liar. You are projecting your behavior onto me. Jack is a lying narc psychopath and he fears me. I don't fear you, dude. Matter of fact, I just timed you out for 5 minutes. So go sit in a corner, little boy, and you can come back again later. You can try again later, Stephen. And if you show up with a bad attitude again, I'll kick you to the curb. I don't really need you around. I don't mean to be rude, but here we are. We're talking about community. And people literally pay to insult me.
it's kind of funny because I was called a psychopath, and then I was accused of actually calling myself a psychopath, and then I'm like, wait a minute, I said that I was diagnosed as a sociopath, uh, which might be true. I don't agree with a lot of what big society does, and I do not want to take part in it. So yes, I might be a sociopath to a certain degree, but I'm definitely not a psychopath. And then I asked him, "Do you actually know what the definition of a psychopath is?" And I never got an answer. So maybe it was just confusion, because there's a lot of people that think that sociopaths and psychopaths are the same thing. But why have two different words if they're the same thing?
There is a distinction, and I've given it thought before. I've looked at it before, but Nine Tails, Melanie, thank you. He's definitely not a psychopath because he shows self restraint even when people like Snappy. Uh, and he also does things a typical narcissist couldn't imagine doing. Regarding these ideas of narcissist, psychopath, what was the other? Not psychopath. You said it. Sociopath. Um, we all have these potentials. We all have these tendencies that can come through. Now, what I view is all of these patterns, whether we call it narcissist or psychopath or whatever, it's a reflection of the protective identity that we develop. It's what I call the ego, right? It's not just me. Many people call that identity the ego. um, it's in that the best description I think I've found so far for the ego, it is that protective identity. It's this characterization of who we, an identification of who we think we are that develops typically in times of pain and abandonment. And usually, most often, from what I've seen, when we're young. And Spec Man, this is why seeing some of the studies in trauma that have come forth and some of the ways that childhood trauma has been identified, the way it's caused, how it's continuing. Man, this is why I'm all in. It is time for us to confront the economic and political systems of this world.
Yeah, I must admit, I suffered a pretty heavy childhood trauma, mostly because of a giant misunderstanding between the British state and my mum. So basically, when I was a young kid, my mum being a single mum, to make ends meet, she used to sell marijuana. So yeah, it's illegal. Yeah, it's done some people harm, but basically, the marijuana was the thing that bought my nice shoes when I was, you know, under the age of
Mm-hmm.
10. So one day, and this was when I was 4, my little sister was almost 3, and my youngest brother was not even 1 yet. So these guys decided that um, because my mum handled a lot of marijuana on a Friday night, she also got a lot of money on a Friday night. They thought that if they could get there very early on a Friday night, they could rob her. So there's a knock on the door. I don't actually remember any of this. I just remember hearing that this was the thing that caused my life to get messed up, as you will find out. So there's a knock on the door, and there is a guy standing there with a sawn-off shotgun and the other guy with a really, really big kitchen knife. And they kind of push their way into the door. They're screaming at my mum. My mum's all confused. They push into the front room, and my little sister happened to be in a crib in the front room sleeping. And one of the idiots pointed the sawn off shotgun at my sister and said, "Give us all your drugs and all your money, or we will shoot the kid." So my mum, of course, she's like, "Yeah, yeah, 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 look, whatever you want, just stop pointing the gun at my kid," right? So this is in UK and London, by the way. So she walks them to the cupboard where she stored all of the equipment, her scales, her wrapping thing, everything, all the paraphernalia to sell marijuana. And some people will know this, other people won't. One of the paraphernalia for selling marijuana, especially if you sell hashish, is a big knife that you can warm so that you can cut the hashish into manageable sizes. And my mum, being my mum, sees the knife, remembers that somebody just threatened her little girl, and she turns round and she stabs the guy with the gun. Now he's screaming, she's going crazy. The other guy turns out to be a coward who had the other knife. He's legging it. My mum's trying to stab whatever she can now, and they both run out the door. Now, what does my mum do? At that time, I'm 50 now, so it's 46 years ago this happened. We didn't have a telephone. So she ran next door to our next door neighbor, tells her, "Somebody just tried to rob me. Can I have your telephone?" And she phones the police. Now, understandable. The police come, they take my mum's statement, they make sure everything's okay. They start to look for the two gentlemen. My mum said, "I stabbed one of them. It'd be pretty easy to find him. Follow the blood." They managed to catch one of the guys, uh, and then the police offer to put in a phone for my mum to keep her out of danger because of what she does. But child services get wind of it. Now, my mum is the most evil woman who ever lived on the face of the planet Earth. She's a drug dealer. She puts her kids in danger. She doesn't care about them. She's a menace to society. So, they stole all of us. They first stole me from my school. I was literally kidnapped by a couple of blonde women that I didn't know for reasons that I did not know. They kidnapped my little sister at the kinder crash, and then finally they came and they took my brother, and they took us for 2 years. Yeah, and I loved my mum, and there was absolutely nothing that anybody could say to me about my mum that would convince me that she was the most evil person in the world. So me and the people holding me captive, we were at an impasse.
How how old were you at that time?
Uh, I was four, almost four, because I got out when after I was six.
That could cause some issues. How are your other, you said brother and sister? How
Um, believe it or not, to a certain degree, I escaped the worst of it, and I'll explain why. So I was the oldest here. So my younger sister and I, we ended up in the same place because she was almost toddling. Yeah, so a little bit more. She's a little bit more. She's almost free now. Yeah, because I'm born in October and she's born in January. So I'm 2 and 4 months older than her or something. But she didn't get it at all. She couldn't speak yet. The only thing that she could recognize was me, and I spent a lot of time looking at her in her new crib in the children's home. I wasn't allowed to take her out. I couldn't, even if I wanted to. I mean, I'm,
right?
yeah,
Your child.
yeah.
Yeah.
But for my younger brother, it ended up worse. But because he was a baby, he had to go to somewhere completely separate because he was still being bottle fed and all of that. So it splits up. In the end, my mum could only afford the time and resources to get two of us back because they sent me and my little sister all the way down to the south of England, and they sent my 1 year old brother all the way up to the north. And one of the conditions for her to get us back was that she had to visit us once a week. So she couldn't do it. So my little brother's placed for adoption. So for my little sister and my little brother, maybe it was worse because they didn't even really know what was going on, whereas I did know what was going on. So yeah, I became a little bit antisocial then. Who's to say that I wouldn't have become a little bit antisocial anyway? But that definitely gave me the ammunition that I needed to not be a happy member of society.
Wow. When I mention childhood trauma, you've got a pretty you got a pretty specific example. And I know that things a lot less traumatic than that can mess people's minds up. And so um, the thought that came to mind, I can imagine, especially at a young age, abandonment issues. That feeling of being taken or being given away. Um, that feeling of abandonment is actually one of the most common, from what I've heard. Okay, I'm not an expert, I'm not claiming any specific authority, but from what I understand, it is abandoned, that feeling and sense of abandonment when we don't have someone to connect to, especially in our young, fragile minds. That's where that stuff really takes over.
The strange thing about that is some kids can actually even have that when they're still in the home with their
Yes,
parents. Uh, they feel like their parents aren't there for them.
that was
I was extremely lucky because, well, we were the ones that mum chose to visit every single week, and it was a hassle because we were a good 50 miles up the road, and in America it might not be much, but in the UK that's a massive distance. And so it was hard for her to do it. But my mum spoke with me, and I'm like, Mum, why aren't you getting us back? And one time I asked her this, I think it must have been like a month in, and she said, Look, let's do it this way. I'm going to try to do it all the right way, legally and above board. But if that does not work, I will come and get you no matter what. So we're going to try it the right way. We're going to be brave. But if that doesn't work, I'm getting you anyway. And me only being 4, I believe that. I
Sure.
believe that without any doubt in my mind. And I used to tell my little sister it, even though she couldn't speak. She literally learned how to speak in the kids' home, which is funny. But I used to tell my little sister it all the time that Mum is coming to get us, and nothing will stop her. So that kind of kept me sane. And the truth is, she did come and get us. In fact, she was the first single mother in our entire community, and that's Brixton. It's a very famous community in London that got her kids back legally. She was the first one. So, and she's no longer with us. So, I salute you, mother of mine. You did a good thing.
Absolutely. Your other siblings, they still around as well?
It's very funny. I grew up with my little sister, and
Mhm.
we're still in contact today. She lives in the Netherlands, in Holland. My younger brother, it took all the way until I was 21 before I reconnected with my younger brother, and it was a miracle. And I think he was very shocked to know that me and my little sister, we'd always known of his existence. He'd always been a thing, but Mum wasn't sure whether he'd want contact or, so. So we didn't know, but yeah, when we met up and we all got back together, and I know my little brother. And the funny thing about that is, me and him are fighting now, and he has vowed to never speak to me again, which is so funny. Um, over something extremely silly, but like yeah, I think of him as my little brother. So if he wants to have a stupid fight and go all in, me as the big brother, I'm kind of obligated to go toe to toe with him, I suppose.
Um, that story is it's pretty heart wrenching, man. That's it's tough and beautiful, right? The the faith you held in your mom, the mom's commitment, the love carried it through. Um,
That's why I believe in love, and without love, I would have ended up in a completely different place. Because if my mum didn't love us kids, she wouldn't have put the energy in to fight the system to get us back, you know? So if there is any individual out there feeling unloved, unwanted, remember that at some point somebody loved you, because children are very fragile and none of them would make it through without somebody loving them. So love exists. You might not have it in your life at the moment, but you can find it.
amen. And it's that love that gets us through. What you described was you'd mentioned it, the other way that children find trauma. My mom and stepdad were in the home, but I still had abandonment issues. Um, oh, goodness. Okay. Objective ethics, thank you for the contribution and getting my attention. I was considering adding her as a mod. I don't know what is going on. Um, Being timed out, and now I don't promote that. If someone's being targeted because of anything other than specific behavior, that's not appropriate. Yeah, let's do that. Bring that back and do that. Oops, doggone it. I'm button. There we go. Heard and agree. Thank you, Objective Ethics, for the contribution and the support. We will this life, this life we're living, trauma, right? What I believe that, again, I'm not an expert, but everything I've learned, the experts that I've learned from seem to agree that I did it for 10 seconds to get her back. That's what it was.
I was watching an interview with an English guy who's quite famous, um, and he was interviewing a school teacher that said that the one thing that everybody experiences that has to do with the education system, no matter where in the world they are, is trauma, uh, and it traumatizes you because nobody feels secure in within the educational system. Teachers don't feel secure because they're not allowed to teach the way that they want to teach. They don't feel secure because of the way the world treats children in general, and they're in a position of responsibility. So even if they're the best teacher in the world, they're always still apprehensive that others really believe that they're doing their job right. And he said that the whole education system involves an awful lot of trauma. So you might think that you've managed to go through life without accumulating any trauma, but that's absolutely impossible in the modern world that we live in today.
Yep, agreed. And what I've learned from my own time with therapy and counselors and stuff, trauma is not understood. It has not been. Okay. My experience and my memory comes from over a decade ago. So, maybe things are changing and improving, but um, the conclusion I've come to, we have a worldwide problem. Secrets and lies. Secrets and lies are creating wars and devastation. And in the wars and devastation, it's creeping into the homes and it's traumatizing children and adults. To fix
That
the
that's
trauma, go ahead.
that's really funny because one one of the strangest things about my personal little project now, I'm 100% against hyper surveillance from the state. I don't know if you guys are aware, you've got this company called Palantir in the United States of America,
Mm-hmm.
and they literally want to have an app that acts as your avatar 24 hours a day. If you're chilling on the sofa, they want to know that you're doing it. If you're in the shower, they literally want to have a digital avatar of every person that lives in the United States. And the way that they think that they can achieve that is through what they call the real ID. Uh, And so basically, you get this real ID, and then once you have it, you show it plus your face on the internal aeroplane flights. Now they can connect your face to you and build this. So I hate digital surveillance, but in my own personal project, I want people to willingly sign up to a kind of form of digital surveillance, which sounds like a complete contradiction. Um, Except in my system, you would do it once, you would verify who you are, that you've got right to be part of that community legally, that you didn't just fall out of a tree somewhere and end up in the community. And if you trust the system enough to let them know who you are, then the system's got a lot of reasons to trust you. And after you create that first digital ID, it becomes a number, eh? And everything else instantly gets thrown away. Eh? That's it. So you literally become a number in the system. And I know it sounds bad and it sounds evil, and we all want to know that it's Bob Bennett that lives in number 52 Woodrow Drive and his wife is Janice. And I would love to live in that world, but to bring a world where communities can work together and act together to massive cities like New York or Tokyo, we're going to have to start using some modern technology. And it's only the first step to becoming part of the community. And once you're registered, um, you will instantly have contact, something like Facebook, for only your community, though. Only people that live literally within your community. So I call it the community forum. And it's a place where people can speak their minds, advertise their products themselves, their lives, you know. And it's funny, yeah. I don't believe in digital tracking, and what I say about my system is we don't actually follow people, we follow flows. And the only reason that I want to keep track of people is to make sure that everybody has enough food, everybody has enough homes, everybody has enough electricity, everybody has enough water. So basically, if you track the flow of goods, you don't need to track individual people. uh, and if the digital service is community owned, then you literally own your own digital service provider. And if, say, your big government comes in and says, we want you to get digital identification, you can honestly say, I already have digital identification. Eh? I don't need yours. I've got a system that I know, I like, and I trust. I don't need your system. So it gives you an extra layer of protection from big government. If you do the thing to yourself that they want you to do to you, uh, then you preempt them. You're like, I'm not against digital identity. I've got one. I just don't trust you because I know that you're going to use my information to torture me and others like me. So, no.
Well, I think it would be a lot. We could easily come up with so many different ways of connecting our communities, connecting our nation. Um, it's going to take the willingness of good people to come together in order to change it. It's,
And
it might.
once again, it's going to take a little love and it's going to take a little trust. And I ask people, and I found this out, and this is at the age of 4, and this is where I really built my own relationship with God. All right. I needed somebody to talk to. I needed somebody on my side in the children's home because 6 days a week it was just me and my little sister. And my little sister, she didn't say much. Um, and I also then discovered that if I get overstressed, I can get something that's called nervous eczema, which is like a skin rash or an irritation. I, I I literally broke out, and then I'm stressed, so now I scratch it. So now I'm actually hurting, and now I'm angry, and I ended up in a whole little tizzy, and I didn't trust any of the people around me, and I just knew that admitting to any form of weakness was dangerous and it would make me weaker. So I didn't. So I began to learn to rely on me, 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 and me. And thank God, literally, thank God, literally, I had a concept of God, right? So there was an entity out there that I could dump it all onto. Eh? I could dump all of my anger onto it, all of my confusion, all of my frustration, and I could just dump it all there. And it was out of me and it was into this other entity, pull it that way, right? So I learned something very valuable in my youth from those experiences. I could externalize my pain, my joy, and all of those things, but I learned to trust me, if you see
That's
what I
good.
mean.
That's good.
And I'm the kind of guy, like, I always say, you can't make a promise to anybody else except you. The only person that's worth making a promise to is you. If you promise yourself that you're going to pay your friend John back, it might happen. If you promise your friend John, who knows if it's going to happen, right? So if you can trust yourself, you've got one of the best allies in this world that you're ever going to need to get the stuff done that you need to get done. Eh? And when you can trust yourself, it gives you the opportunity to trust others because you're like, I know I make good decisions. I'm going to give Jack a go. Eh? Now, Jack might mess up, but he might not. He might become a complete ally, somebody I can trust, somebody that's there for me. Eh? And now I'm not one, I'm two. Eh? So that's the way that I think about the world.
Well, we have actually it's at our fingertips. I mean, here in this time of history that we're at with the electronics, the technology, all the advancements, the communication, we got everything we need. There's no reason for us to continue funding a surveillance state, which is what you brought up Palantir. Dude, the executive there, they got some twisted ideas, man. These people are sick. This billionaire oligarchy that's all buddy buddy with Donald Trump. Um, this society we're living in, when good people unite together, we will end the wars. The wars within, the wars in our community. If we unite together, we can end all the wars and conflicts, I'm sure.
Well, that is an absolute fact, but one of the problems that I see right now, and I live in London, people feel absolutely no affiliation or ownership of where they live. It's literally just the place that they live. And if by some miracle a company would walk in tomorrow and offer them three times the salary to move, you know, 200 miles up the road, they do it gladly because they don't really have an affinity to the place that they live or the people that they live with. And some of the things that I propose would literally change that. It would give people automatic reason to want to know who they live with, and it would give them more individual autonomy, and it would give them more group power. Uh, and it could begin to start fixing the damage that our modern society has done.
My apologies. While you were talking, I just got distracted. We had an unwanted guest show up in the back. That clown known as Steven from the Insanity, whatever his channel is, El Diablo, the demon, the demon guy. Um, yeah, Steven showed up and he sent me a nice, nasty email. Actually, maybe I shouldn't have banned him because actually today is a day to confront him about his lies. He lied online yesterday about me. He lies in the chat and he lies elsewhere. The way to make a better world is when we unite and confront the liars. Liars don't like to be confronted, though, do they?
Especially not with their own bullshit.
Right?
Yeah, my mum always said if you really want to hurt somebody, tell them the truth about themselves.
Well, it's part of our character development. People have to accept the truth of themselves. I had to accept a lot of things that people said that I didn't want to accept. Show the email. You know, it's just a bunch of insults. It's the same nonsense he says on his garbage stream. Um, but it's part of my evidence. It's part of my record, the record of my life. There's plenty of evidence that Jack Talcott, you know, I promote love, I promote peace, talk about God and spirituality. And I really do attract these bitter, demonic entities. How does that happen? How do people actually? I know how it happens. Praise God, man. Praise God.
I've got a suggestion. Some people are in a war with God. They might not know it themselves. Uh, People like me, I'm open enough to admit that me and God fight all the time. I do not agree with so many of its decisions. I'm not even entirely sure how I got suckered into being here in this physical existence in the first place. And I think God left the instruction manual. It's not good. Put it that way. And I mean, let's talk about the physical problems. Human teeth, right? Now, God, if you planned for us to live 6 or whatever it is, why can't we have 3 sets of teeth? Why have we only got 2 sets of teeth? We need that third set of teeth. My dad's 70. He can't eat carrots anymore. He's suffering, God, because you design fault. so, so me and God, we fight all the time. But sometimes somebody that claims to believe in God, the people that want to fight with God, they choose those people and they kind of go, well, if I can't get to God directly, I'll get to the person that's advocating for God. Does that make sense?
Mm, that does actually make sense. It's interesting. Um, yeah, people will lash out and try to protect their beliefs. And if someone is against God, they'll attack the people who are pro God, for God. And actually, that it's kind of described in the Bible as well. It's part of our refinement, our tribulation to become greater. Here, there was requests from some of the folks in the chat. Sorry to change directions, but our buddy Steven, I got this last night. Oh, 2 days ago, July 7th. Yeah, 2 days ago. You sure do resent me. You sound bitter, miserable, envious. Seems like you can't handle me. Everything upsets you, angers you, according to Stephen. According to Stephen, I am not like Jesus. I'm a very small, bitter, angry, miserable pissant. Not a real man, not a man of love or peace. Stephen sees what I am. Apparently, an angry, narcissistic psychopath. Sounds like him. Don't bother trying to slander me and name call, sicko. Oh, that's right. He got offended because I think Guru and I called Steven sick. He claims I play the victim every day on my show. Weakling, I see what you are, loser. I don't give a shit about you or your show. You are the boring one. And yet Steven continues to show up here. You have no wisdom, no humor, no talents, no family. You have nothing to offer. God, is that not him describing himself? You project your misery and flaws onto others. You are boring, Jackie boy. Oh, Stephen, those are your words. They're well documented. And now they're publicly shared as well. So the nature of you is here. You didn't know he's that obsessed? Dude, he's nuts. I have evidence of some of his attacks on others as well that have been shared with me. Anyway,
Well,
sorry.
in a way, half of me is quite happy that I'm extremely unpopular on YouTube, or YouTube actually hates my content, and they refuse to. I refuse to not be who I am and do what I do. Somebody asked, I had a post the other day, are you the same person online as you are offline? And for me, the answer is pretty much yeah. I'm the same person wherever I go. Like, I might be a little bit more politically correct when I'm online, not that much. But I'm generally the same person offline as I am online. And yeah, YouTube doesn't like the things that I say because they think for some reason that I'm trying to start a pyramid scheme and con millions of people out of their hard-earned money somehow. And the reason that they know this is because their computer, who's got the intellect of like a 4-year old, told them. Which is really funny because on Rumble and X, they don't care enough to even have an opinion on what I do say or don't say, if you see what I mean. So it's really funny. I All of the same stuff I've had to migrate from YouTube because I'm not allowed to say what I want to say. So what's the point? Uh, I've had to migrate, but I'm still doing exactly the same thing on the Rumble platform on X that I was doing on YouTube. So crazy world, huh?
It is a wild life we're living. I mean, this technology, the ability to sit and stream, show our face, share our voice all around the world. This wasn't available when I was a kid. I don't think
Me neither. I,
you
I, I
either,
grew
right?
I grew up in the era that you knew exactly who you were on the computer. You were the little square. That was you. So yeah. About me not showing my face. The truth is that I'm on my PC, my standing PC, and it doesn't have a camera. But on Sunday the 12th at 4 p.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock UK time, I'm gonna actually go on my laptop, put my face on there, so that people can actually look at me and see that I'm a guy that's got some really, really radical, crazy ideas of how we can do things better. And you will instantly hate them because you'll instantly know that I'm trying to change the world that you live in. Uh, and it doesn't matter who you are. Uh, for the world to be a good place, a nice place for everybody to live in, everybody has to sacrifice something. And I think people feel it with me. They feel I might have to sacrifice something that I like. Uh, and I think they feel it. So everybody is instantly wary of my ideas. Um, but the truth is this: if we all sacrificed a little, we could all gain so much more. And the first thing I promise everybody is that the company Palantir would go bankrupt and be non-existent because people would not want that service anymore. They would go, we already got your service, we already own the service ourselves, we trust the people that are using it and maintaining it, we do not need you. So therefore you solve when human beings do things collectively, eh? If the 99% of all 99 of all poor people get together and say something simultaneously, the world has to listen. Yeah, and that's just a fact. Individually, none of us have got any power, but as the 99%, we've got tremendous amounts of power. If the 99% says that we're not going to go to war, is the 1% going to do it themselves? I doubt it.
Right.
So yeah, we have collective bargaining power, and I think we've stopped using it. I think that our hyper individuality is getting in the way of our ability to collectively bargain.
Exactly. And the reason I think that has been is because of the unresolved, unhealed trauma. People who are hurt, they've or carrying unresolved trauma, they're distrusting, right? And trust is trust is the only way we're going to be able to unite together. We got to trust ourselves, like you started out, right? You recognize that in your experiences, one of the greatest things you found was an ability to trust in yourself. That's what I heard, right?
Yep, yep, 100% true.
Um, so I had lost trust in myself a long time ago, and it's because I developed patterns of being dishonest with myself. And it wasn't until I started really going within and trying to heal myself, it wasn't until I actually looked at me with honesty and compassion that I actually saw where I had been lying, right? I talked myself out of so many things because I found excuses. Oh, I'm afraid, or I'm not good at that. And then I wouldn't even try,
It's
right?
kind of it's kind of funny because the compassion that you mentioned is probably the most important part of that. I have the ability, like even before I come online, and I wrote a stupid book and I want to do something off the wall and crazy. There is no single person out there that can judge me more harshly for anything that I will or don't do, whether it be good, bad, indifferent. I judge myself 24 hours a day. And I also have to remember you also have to have compassion for yourself. eh? I
Yeah.
have to understand that some of my behaviors might be because I live in a bit of a fucked up world. eh? You know, I don't get to go through every day of my life stress free, financially comfortable, blah blah blah. I might be having a bad day, and as a result, I might be inclined to lie to myself for a little bit. You know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but I don't want to make it a pattern. If I think about it this way, I hate it when others lie to me. So, what happens when I start lying to myself? Wow, man.
Well, that's the biggest issue. We can't lie to ourselves, but we do. I know
I'm
I did it.
pretty I'm pretty sure that some people have managed to pull it. Do you know how when the real world says like compartmentalize? Have you ever heard this like on professional programs like a police officer and this? How do you compartmentalize? And I think that in a way that's the system teaching us how to lie to ourselves. They're like, this isn't an untruth, you just put it in this little box, and in this little box that thing that you're saying is a true thing. eh? And I think that's where it starts even in school. That's the first thing I learned to do when I went to school. Was the first thing I learned to do was lie.
That makes sense because it's in, well, I learned to lie, I think, before school, but um, had something to do with my influences. But in school, when we're divided up, and that's where we start getting judged by authority and all that stuff, that's when the fear can step in a little more. And so when we're
I've
afraid,
I've
that
got
is when we
something
usually lie.
I've got something extremely funny because obviously you know a little bit about my past and whatever. And one of the things was when we finally got back home and it was time for us to go to school. You know, me and my little sister. Mum said, "Well, okay, look, you're going to school. There's got to be some rules. Rule number one is you never tell anybody that your mum sells drugs." Right?
Yeah.
That's just you never tell that thing, right? Because that's going to cause all kinds of trouble, and we already saw how that ends up. So we're not going to do that again, right? So um, and it's kind of weird. My mum was one of the first at one of the in the UK. There was a festival. I don't know if you remember after the massive Woodstock in America. The British decided to do their own version of a mini Woodstock, and they called it Glastonbury Festival. So my mum was at first she was at a place called the Isle of Wight Festival. Uh, this is way back. I know when it was. It was in 1975 or 1974 because I was born in 1975. I know exactly what it was. And because of my dyslexia, I don't know what year was what year. I couldn't tell you, oh, back in 2026 I did this or in 2007. It means absolutely nothing to me. But so, yeah. So there was this massive um, festival in the UK called Glastonbury Festival, and some years 250,000 people would manage to gather in a place in Devon, and they were all alternative types, the hippies and the Krishnas and the so we went every single year to that festival. One, it was a brilliant place where my mum could sell mega amounts of marijuana. And so it almost paid for itself. And two, my mum really thought that we deserved to get out of London, get closer to nature. And how much closer to nature can you be sitting in the middle of a field in Devonshire? So we always used to take 8 weeks summer holiday when I was a kid, you know and schools didn't really like that, so we would always lie about where we were spending the extra 2 weeks. And that was just the contract between us and the school. uh, I think the school knew that it was a lie, but they didn't care. But yeah, sometimes just saying me and the kids, we prefer 8 weeks of summer holiday. We don't get out of the city often, and we're taking those extra 2 weeks. That's not a truth that the real world could handle or tolerate.
Um, I don't know. Sorry, I got distracted. There was some rudeness in the chat, and somehow it just seems to show up. People bring their well, I guess it's this public area, isn't it? It's a public space.
Well, I've got dyslexia, and I find it almost impossible to keep up with the chat and be talking on camera at the same time, so it doesn't affect me.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for
I,
you.
I
I don't.
I normally do watch the stuff back if I'm live on television and try to catch up with the chat. Um, because yeah, I do appreciate that there's other people. It's not just you and me in this chat. You know, your beautiful guests are also enjoying our mini discussion.
um. Yeah. Sorry. Rudeness in chat. Surely you jest. Yeah. And admittedly, when I'm trying to pay attention to chat or when my mind does drift to the chat, look over that way, I do. It's tough to pay attention. I try to focus most on the conversations that are happening up here, um, so that we can have proper and decent conversations. But
That's also one of the key points to having good mediators. If you've got good mediators, they can kind of like take half of the work of maintaining the chat. And yeah, it's a tough job being a YouTube host. I don't think I'd be good at it.
Well, I wasn't sure. I still don't know if I'm any good at it. All I know is I'm just trying to get better. So, which is the path of life? And the whole topic in the stream today, it's really about um sorry. Golly geez. I was wondering, I know. I thought Dick had a um I thought he had a wrench at some point, and then he doesn't. And so that makes me wonder, does he not have one for a reason? Freedom Grower, is there a reason I didn't give you a mod? The chat is vigilant stewards of the truth, holding the torch as a lamp unto the feet of the lost. That's beautiful. You know what? Doggone it. Sorry. That's interesting. My apologies. See, this is another reason, because when I do turn to the chat, I totally just lose track of what I'm doing. But hey, we have another wonderful guest returning. Dirty Low Life, how are you, brother?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Brother Jack. Keeping well.
You're super soft.
I may have to play around with my mic settings. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Your volume's all the way up. Now it's coming through, though, now. Yeah, much better.
Sorry about that. Yeah, playing around with my mic today. I just want to say thank you, Specman. Your childhood story is, very interesting and insightful, brother. It really reflects in your personality today, of your robustness and the knocks you'll take from people in the chat and people on panels, and your striving intention to make a better system. It definitely shows. The question I want to ask you, if it's not too personal, is would you change, if you were given the chance or had the power, would you change anything about your life and your upbringing and your childhood?
It's kind of funny because about 10 years ago, me and my little sister, we asked ourselves that very same question. And we both came to the conclusion that if we changed anything about our lives, we wouldn't be the people that we are. And I like my little sister, and I like the person I am. So if I changed anything, I wouldn't be me. So no, I wouldn't change a thing.
Wonderful. Thank you for the answer. I've come to similar conclusions myself. I do find it interesting that there's a certain set of people who realize that they couldn't change anything, even if they had the opportunity. Couldn't and wouldn't.
I mean, if we get into the more like super metaphysical hyper, yeah, if I could change something, I'd ask God, can I just not be born? And in that way, I wouldn't have to put up with any of this crap. But the second I was born and I was me, I was on a path, and the stuff that was going to happen was going to happen, if you see what I mean. And so, yeah, like I said, I also feel that because I had a little bit of trauma when I was a kid, there were other kids out there that went through so much more, way more bad stuff than I ever did, and especially in the foster care system or the state care system, where the most horrific stories, and none of that happened. I thank God every day that none of that happened to any of me, not even my little brother who was adopted. Thank God we do have our own trauma, but at least not that.
Um, there was many years in my past where I had those thoughts. I wish I hadn't been born. Um, but after learning and overcoming, I'm learning how to have fun with this life. And when you learn how to have fun with your life, it kind of becomes an adventure. And I'm pretty sure that's what we were created for. We're here to have an adventure on earth. As divine souls, eternal sparks of life and light that are sent here into the human form for the purposes of expanding consciousness, growing love, growing experiences, creating memories, discovering new knowledge. What a cool trip, man. What a gift we've been given.
I've seen some truly beautiful things in my time here on Earth, and amidst all of the suffering, when you see something that's, you know, a really beautiful thing, it becomes 10 times more beautiful. Because there is absolutely no reason that anything should be beautiful. But you know, some things just are. And a friend of mine said most of the things that we find truly beautiful are the things that were made by God. That's kind of interesting, right? Am I alone in the chat?
No, you're just reflecting. Yeah, profound. Not just resonating with what you're saying, and also recognizing the uncomfortability in me of recognizing beauty in the world. I find so many around me don't see it, and somehow that causes resistance within me to acknowledge its existence. And you're right, it's everywhere. You can't avoid it. I think Jack's frozen. It's a mutiny.
Yeah, that's kind of funny that the host ended up getting kicked out, and it's just you and me on the show.
Time for a rebrand.
Yeah, let's find some gnosis. No, I really like it how Jack can just get out there and he's like, do you know what? I wish I could just love everybody equally, and you know, and make every day the best day of my life. I like that, you know. I wish
Yes,
I
agreed.
I wish I had that amount of positivity.
I was going to add also tempered with the acknowledgement of when he falters in his own view. Wonderful.
Yeah, it seems to me that he's like myself. He does look inwards, you know. He does try to make himself a better person. Like you said, I look within to see what more there is in me, and I think that that's a good thing. I think we should all do it.
Sorry, I missed some. My internet went out. Personhood over dogma. Just as I disappeared, your contribution. Thank you very much. And yes, 3 cheers for birth survival. We get to make it into this life and continue. I didn't mean to distract where you guys were, but please, thank you for keeping it going.
No, I was just admiring how uh it seems to be easy for you to maintain the positivity. Uh and I respect that. Because some days I wake up and I find it extremely difficult to be positive. But like I said, I do a lot of soul searching, and I ask myself, well, if you can't be positive, why should anybody else be? Uh,
That's a great question, right? And that's fair too. If you want it from others, well, let's apply it to ourselves as well. Hey, welcome to you, Jesse. I see you're traveling. Glad to have you here.
What's up, brother? How's your day?
Feeling truly blessed. We got another guest here I'm going to bring up too. Welcome, Objective Ethics. How are you today, brother? Welcome back.
Always good to be here, brother. Nice to see the birds. What was it? Something like Widget and Mango or something like that? Those are adorable.
Mango and Wedge.
Wedge, not Widget.
Well,
I was close, actually. I was
You're very
close.
close.
Wedge and Mango. All right, very good. I'll let Jesse say his piece before I go. But thank you for the greeting.
Hey, thank you. Jesse, you popping in with anything? Please go ahead.
I just wanted to see how your stream is going so far. I was just mowing some lawn and just kind of doing the thing, and I didn't get a chance to really hear how your stream is going, but you seem in a good upbeat mood today, so I imagine it's going pretty good.
It's actually been very, very pleasant. I've enjoyed the conversation so far. I love this quote. I've decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. And then we had a good topic, a good stream, good title, and then Speckman came up and he brought some of his past stories, which were pretty powerful. I want to welcome Objective Ethics. Let you jump in, please.
Well, I just first want to say thank you very much for stopping by the debate last night. I'm very honored and humbled that you would take time out of your busy schedule to do that. It was a well-fought debate. Really appreciate the opportunity, because when I do these formal debates, because I'm actually there with intellectual honesty to listen to my interlocutors and understand their arguments, it's a learning opportunity for me to, one, test my own arguments, right, and see what sticks, what lands, what doesn't, what's effective, what isn't, but also to learn what the opposition is saying, right? And so I take that very seriously. So as you saw last night, I don't engage in any of the personal attacks or the over talking or any of the disrespect. I'm just there for the meat and potatoes. And one of the things that I took away from last night is a really, I think, a much more effective way to help people understand the position of objective morality, that morality is based on true facts. So if you'll just indulge me for just 90 seconds while I lay this out, please.
Please.
So if there are 10 people and they all agree to cooperate with each other, among those 10 people, there would be no violence, no deceit, no coercion, no abuse, because they've agreed to cooperate, right? So if we expand that to 100 people, the logic still holds. In fact, if we expand it to everybody on the planet, the logic still holds. So now there is no violence, no deceit, no abuse, no coercion. And in fact, we could even expand that thought experiment to the entire universe and literally eliminate war, eliminate world hunger, eliminate poverty effectively, because these are true facts, right? So that's, I think, one of the things I took away from my arguments last night that really helped me kind of shore that up a little bit, to make it a little bit more clear for people to understand what I mean by true facts, because all true facts are indeed by definition objective, right? So that's how we obtain objective morality. And remember that cooperation is part of our nature. We are a social species. So to not cooperate with each other is to literally go against our very nature, right? Thank you, Jack.
Dude, well said. Hey, there was one thing I was going to toss out, actually, regarding the debate on the source of morality. I'd heard this before, that morality and ethics are guidelines for the unsaintly. It's a little different and off from where you were, but that idea of cooperation, yes. We are social animals, and so if we can find ways to stop fighting, start communicating about the facts, we can agree with the facts, and then work together, we're going to change the world.
And this would hold whether you take the naturalistic viewpoint like I hold, or whether you take a religious or spiritual viewpoint. If you believe in a creator or creation, it's undeniable that we are a social species.
Jack. Peace
Yeah.
and
I'm
Jack.
not gonna waste my time being around this fuck.
Peace and Jack. How are you, my friend?
I'm well, but please don't jump in and talk over people. Please.
I didn't talk over anybody.
You did. Objective ethics was
God
still.
damn it, Imperius! I came up here to argue with that guy, and you just chased him off.
No, but
why
he's wrong
Why
in
are you
so many-
still love bombing Jack, anyways? Why are you still
I
love bombing
love
Jack?
Jack. don't come between me and Jack Talcott, all
I
right?
love Jack too. Lots of people love Jack. You don't love anybody.
No, he's my Jack. Jack, you need to make one of those dolls that it had. Remember in the 90s, you had the Sock'em WWF little like doll, like the little stuffed things that you could body sleeve. You should make a Jack one. That would be awesome. A Jack.
You talking about like a blow up doll that you could have sex with?
No, not that. Not quite that far. I'm talking about like the Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, Ultimate Warrior. Those dolls that you know they had commercials where you could like power bomb them and beat them up and stuff. Anyways,
I had a little brother.
yeah, Jack. Well, yeah, I did too, but again, I got in trouble for that quite often. Jack, question, sir. I look. I was actually willing to talk to the guy. I had a little bit of a different view. I was trying to present him because I would say that ethics are only objective if you believe in the divine being. Because I'll give you the logic, Jack. Morals presuppose knowledge. Morals are only relative to cause and effect and the knowledge of the cause and the effect of the act. And if there is a being that is omniscient and knows all knowledge and has all presuppositional knowledge and has all consequential knowledge, therefore, only that being could give morality because morality is encompassed by knowledge and that being encompasses all knowledge. So it's very simple, Jack. Only a divine entity with knowledge of everything can instill morality because everything else is just a matter of opinion. It's just a point of view, like Obi-Wan said.
I mean, you just reduced it to a matter of opinion. You just think his opinion is qualified because he's God, but
No,
you
that's
did
not
just reduce it entirely to opinion.
No, that's not opinion. Opinion is fact. It's fact. It's not opinion. It's saying that only a being that knows all facts can give unequivocal morality. Because because if it knows all things, therefore it's the only one qualified to make a moral judgment because it knows all cause and all effect.
I don't know about all that. Jack.
I know it's too deep for you, Dusty. I know. I got you.
Yeah. I'll let you Catholics deal with that stuff and your guilt and stuff. Jack, do you know who Emmett is?
Emmett?
Emmett. Have you run into Emmett?
I don't think so.
It looks like a weasel. Anyways, go ahead.
I want to have you guys on tomorrow night to debate something. Are you down for a debate?
Sure.
Okay, he threw out two topic ideas. One is the death penalty, and the other is whether socialism or capitalism is better supported by Christianity. Either of those. He's probably pro death penalty. And I mean, you guys would probably be perfect opponents on both topics.
Okay. What time can work?
I mean, I don't think any of us have real jobs, so like literally any time.
Jesus.
All right. Yeah, let's.
Do you have a topic that you prefer out of those two?
The second one for sure is the easiest, especially if he's on the side. Well, I take the position that capitalism is anti-Christianity and that socialism is in line with the messages.
Okay. Well, then I'll touch base with him and we'll plan for that one. And then if he stomps you on that topic too easily, because obviously we can hit them both.
You tell Emmett, he better have respect for Jack, or I'm gonna take him out back and break his fucking knees. All right.
Wow.
Emmett already knows the rules. Yeah. Nobody's gonna move in on your Jackie poo. Except for maybe Paul. You do gotta keep an eye on Paul. He resurfaces from time to time. One last thing, Jack. Will you shoot me a text whenever you get a chance? I got a new phone. I don't have your number in it. So
Will do. Yeah.
All right. Hey, good talk.
I would say that socialism and capitalism are two things that Christianity practice at the same time. And that's why we need to find a way to rid ourselves of all Abrahamic religions.
No, again, Again, I would just argue against. I'm not going to argue the point or preview the debate, but I would just, as someone who, I mean, look, it's a blend. The Bible, it dictates both some socialist and some capitalist ideas. It's just what evidence you're going to take to support which, and which argument you can make better and is more convincing. I just present that, like, for example, charity is not forced redistribution of wealth. It's people having to willingly give. You can't force people to give. It may be, you may have the ends don't justify the means. That would be just my argument. Like, it's all about you having.
It might be your argument, but the Old Testament definitely proves you wrong. You're either with the God Club or you're against the God Club, and those that are against the God Club give the only thing that we think that is of value to us, which is taking their life. Those people that were against the God Club, they didn't get to make us the poor Philistines. They didn't make it out.
Yeah, but what was the historical significance in the context of who the Philistines were? Those were horrible people.
And the Philistines.
Anyways, Jack wants to talk.
They were the people that came from Greece. They were the people that ended up being the ruling class in Egypt. They were the descendants that finally birthed the likes of Queen Cleopatra. But like I said, God don't give a damn about capitalism or socialism. God don't care about any of those things. It's only humans. Plus, God doesn't write books. It's only humans that write books. So it's a human thing. Religion is a human thing. And that's from a man who deeply believes in God.
Can I pass comment on something Imperius mentioned a moment ago?
Please do.
Imperius, you mentioned that objective ethics must believe in a divine being for his faith in the existence of objective ethics. I hate to postulate.
No. I didn't say his. No, I didn't say his prerequisite to believe that he believes in objective ethics. No, but to believe in actual objective ethics, you would need to believe in a divine entity.
Well, he presented a pretty cohesion, or that's not the right word. Pretty
cohesive argument. Cohesive.
Thank you. He tying morality, if I understood correctly, tying morality to a combination of compassion and reasoning. And I truly trust, I believe that sounds solid. And so even if you resist or don't accept fully the divine aspect, I think that is an objective path to determine morality through reasoning and compassion.
Yeah, no, I mean, in our point of view, Jack, sure. But there are people in the world that believe that butchery and drinking blood and eating brains is moral. And what I'm trying to say is, you wouldn't be able to tell those people, hey, look, more like compassion, empathy. They in their morality, they would go, that's weak. We care only about survival. And so this is what I mean about objective. That's all I was saying, Jack. That's all.
Oh, I get it. But I also do get where objective.
No, I get what he's saying too. I have arguments with people and philosophical atheists, and evolutionary arguments all the time, Jack. So it's nothing. I completely understand his point. He's it's cohesive. He presented an argument at least, So yeah.
I was just going to postulate, what if the divine being that objective believes in, whether he realizes it or not, is the truth?
Well, that goes into Vatican too, funny enough. We're like Catholics, we believe that like Muslims, even though they worship this thing called Allah, because factually there is only God and Christ is God, they're inadvertently praying to him, even though they're too stupid to realize it. And they might be wrong on how they do it.
Yeah, everybody might be wrong on how they do it, because God.
Or I'll give it a nicer way.
The first people that God taught how to read and write was the Sumerians, right? So God came down, he taught the Sumerians how to read and write, he gave them a system of laws, they were doing really great, he gave them agriculture, God was really, really great. Then he completely forgot about them and chose the Jewish people or the Hindus as the. It's all a load of bullcrap. God doesn't write books. Everybody, wake up. God does not write
Who
books.
said
And if
God
it's
wrote a
written in a
book?
book, God didn't
Who
say
said
it.
God wrote a book? What are you so aggressive for? Who said God wrote a book, bro?
No one
I
said
didn't
that.
say God like the hand came out of the clouds and just took a couple pieces of paper and started writing shit. What are you talking about? Nobody said that, dude.
Well,
But
that,
there's a lot of people that say that, though.
there's
There's a lot of
there's
people
Yeah,
that
no,
say
I know,
that.
but nobody here is saying that. You're arguing, you're attacking a straw man. Nobody here is saying that. Like,
well,
we believe. Go ahead, sorry, Jack.
Sorry, thank you. Let's swing back, because if I heard Dirty Lowlife right, I mean that's the conclusion I've come to, is that the truth is our God. I mean, the truth that's with us is what limits us, controls us, it creates us or destroys us. The truth is God, and every single one of us has an intimate relationship with the truth of who we are, the truth of how we are, but we don't really know the truth of why we are.
That's the mystery. Why are we here, Jack? What do we mean? Why are we here? Jack, you know what I always wonder about evolution in a big sense? Why would human beings develop empathy, compassion, love? Those are not advantages in evolution. That came from somewhere else.
But
That doesn't help. Those
they
things.
but they are advantages in survival.
No, they aren't. No, they aren't.
If you
are.
look at the wolf, if you look at the wolf that made it through with the broken bones and the broken legs, that wolf probably had knowledge that the pack needed, and had the time to pass it on to the younger wolves. So, gorillas, bonobos, they have.
Jack, I don't know what he's talking about. Wolves don't leave and carry their injured. I don't know what he's talking about, Jack. I've seen wolves up in Wyoming and Yellowstone, and like, no, dude, like these are like apex predators. If one does not slow down the pack, dude, what are you talking about? Like, this is what I'm saying.
Wait a second.
Let's please let me bring it back to people, because actually I don't remember where it was, but I found a very well reasoned presentation on how men are developed. We actually learn compassion. My life specifically, I learned the most compassion by the birth of my son, right? The women and the children give us a reflection of tenderness and innocence, ideally. And that is its method of softening the strong warrior man, right? So that is a big part of creating the social environment, because if we didn't have compassion, we'd just be, well, our world would be in a far worse state than it is right now. That's what I know.
I get it, but I guess maybe I'm autistic on this point, Jack. Maybe I have a little autism in me, but in my view, it's like you still got to say, why is peace and love and non-war good? Because like, for example, ants are constantly at war. Chimpanzees are constantly at war. You know, I'm just saying, like, so in our view, because we've lived in the 21st century where we believe and we've been accustomed to peace and harmony and living in certain rules and things, that's why it's good. But you got to still understand and go beyond that. If all this society was gone, and why would all that be good? You see what I'm saying? Maybe I'm autistic about this, but it goes down philosophically to much more. Anyways, Jack, I'll shut up. I'm sorry.
I think it all comes down to, do we need emotions? Do we need compassion? Do we need rules that we agree to so that we can live with each other properly? No, we don't need any of those things. But in my experience, when we do have those things, life is better for everybody.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. That's why humans are special. We purposely develop moral, ethical relationships, and that's what I'm saying. That's why humans are so special and why we're great and amazing. We can do beautiful things because we have these things called love, empathy, compassion. And those are the great gifts God did give us. That's what I'm trying to say. The reason we have
I was trying to say that God gave those gifts to many more things than just humans, but I got shot down.
No, it's different. It's not that existential love like that.
Well,
Like
it is. I mean, there is love. Animals show love. Animals show. They show all sorts of emotions.
How many dogs over the eons have literally died for their human?
Right.
When they could have left them. Dogs are way more capable of surviving in a situation out in the wild than humans are. And the smart dog would go, human, you can't feed me anymore. I'm off. But it's been proven that doesn't happen. They stay part of the group because they know that as a group, they are stronger. They know that those years
that's what I'm saying. It's connected to an evolutionary survival mechanism. Existential love is different than that. That human beings' love is different than that.
Well, and the topic today, inviting greater love into your experience. This is a wonderful comment, GTG. Thank you. It's easy to love everybody equally when you see everybody as just different versions of yourself. That is the truth. And the claim is, once you connect to the core of your being, you will know this oneness experientially. That speaks for my experience. I distrusted everyone. I felt completely alone, misunderstood, rejected, all this crap I was telling myself. And then I started going inside, and the more I started understanding me, the more I saw myself in others. And I mentioned this before, truly. If you can embrace your insignificance, become the selfless.
I'll be right back, Jack.
If you can accept yourself and identify yourself as no one, then you can see yourself in every one. And that's what we are. I kind of think that's what the nature of God may be as well, right? God is the no one who is within everyone, and yet our profit-seeking society has brainwashed us and conditioned us into seeing everyone as a danger. Everyone's a threat, especially if they don't look like me or sound like me or think like me. Well, golly geez, I better not trust them. And yet, if we can't trust,
especially for these hyper-religious people, like priests, like they say, "Oh, I believe in God, and God is the one, this, that, and the other, and I can't wait to be with God." Then they should truly be fearless, because every time that they stand up for the one thing that they shouldn't stand up for, they look after the poor, they look after the weak, they defend the vulnerable. Every time they do that, they're getting one step closer to God, because somebody might shoot them. And then when you're dead, you get to be with God. And if you're a Christian, you should have no fear of death. Not that you waste your life, but if somebody takes your life for doing the right thing, you would do it 27 times a day. And this is what I don't like about my good Christian friends, because most of them lie to themselves. They wouldn't do the right thing 27 times a day because they don't believe that God's got their back. They don't believe that they're going to something better.
That's definitely not all of them. I get there. There's a general population that certainly supports that, but it's not just a religious thing. I mean, I guess it's more highlighted in the religious, and that's probably why you brought that as an example, isn't it? The big difference I found in my belief than a lot of the other traditional beliefs is I'm convinced, right, the teachings from Jesus, it's not just for the afterlife. It's here. We are to live with love, so we live with God. And if you live with love,
but why did I have to go to the great lengths of writing my whole 150-page book if the teachings of Jesus were so great? They've been around for 2,000 years. I will actually tell you that this world sucks just as much as it did when Jesus was doing his teaching. Jesus fundamentally changed absolutely nothing in
that's not true.
about the world. In his, I say that. And if he got the chance to have a second coming, like everybody wants him to, he would probably do even less.
Well, how about this? He already did his part. He did it perfectly, in fact. So perfectly that here, over 2,000 years later, we're still discussing him and what he may have done. And the reality is, this is my opinion. And again, it's a little different than a lot of the traditional Christians. Like I said, Jesus did the hard part. We're here to get the shit done, right? To follow his way.
I get the love thing. I get the love thing. Love your neighbor, love each other. Cooperation is much better than competition. I get all of that stuff, right? I did not need Jesus for that. I could have looked to our Lord Krishna or the Buddha or a myriad of other, so-called prophets, right? I didn't need him for that. I think
right? We don't need him, but how about we accept it? The ideal nature that he showed, the wonderful teachings
because I personally think it's a cop out, and it's
giving
a lot of Christians the excuse not to actually make this world a place worth living.
I know, Spec Man, and I really wish you'd let me finish my thought, because it's quite different than what you just pointed out. Now I forgot where I was going.
Just while you think, Jack, if I may, I'm just going to put forth the idea that Rudolf Steiner postulated that the second coming of Jesus was not as an individual, but through all individuals, which is very much what you were hinting at, Jack.
Thank you. And that's, thank you. That is my interpretation of what is happening and what was foretold, right? It's the rising of the Spirit, the Holy Spirit. There is a revival and awakening. There's a shift that's happening all around the world. If you guys haven't seen the evidence of it, I think you guys, I'm not speaking to anyone in particular, but if you haven't found the evidence of the shift and the change and the awakening and the quickening that's happening in the world, you'll find it if you look. But my belief is that the return of Christ is the realization that Christ was never gone. He's eternally present. All we have to do is accept and know. And a lot of people have been taught not to know it, but just to believe it. And Spec Man, I didn't mean to be rude, but where I was going, I did remember the thought. If we can take that example and trust that the messages of love one another, love the truth, be honest with one another, and all of that, if we can accept that's the way to do it, well, let's get some people, religious or not, good people unite together, and we can reclaim the world in the ways of Jesus, in the ways of Christ, in the ways of love, in the ways of truth.
Like I said, I will never put down love. Me and God, we have our disagreements. And I think, can Jesus come back in the next 5 minutes and let's get that over and done with, because he's not the answer. Unfortunately.
He's here.
Right? Well, if he's already here, why is the world not working?
Well, we each need to ask ourselves that, and then ask ourselves, what can we do?
Well, I did do something, and it didn't involve Jesus at all.
All right.
So what I did has to be wrong because it didn't involve Jesus, and I've learned the things from Jesus the same as that I learned from the Buddha or blah blah. Like, there is love. God, now I'm Jesus. There is love, lads. The world's still gonna suck tomorrow, no matter how much love you put in it.
Well, again, I feel like I'm being unheard, Spec Man.
I am hearing you. I am hearing you.
Are you?
I hear I hear you. I hear your words, but
they're not making it. They're not landing.
I did say that some days I wake up in the morning and I find it hard to be positive, and then I tell myself, if you can't be positive, how can you expect others to be? I'm critical of myself, but I have to speak my truth. I don't think Jesus can save anybody. I don't think. Yeah, that's okay. I mean, if you believe that Jesus can save you, that's great. Now Jesus has saved you. Can you?
How about we talk about what? How about we talk
Yeah.
about what Jesus might be? Because I've already said he's eternally here. He's present.
I'm familiar with the energy Christo, the Christus energy, the Christ energy.
All right.
But that would literally be the love that God gave us the capacity for in human form.
Yeah.
Right? That would be Christ energy.
Yes.
And I agree with all of that stuff. But the guy that was waving his fist in the temples, and the guy that was stupid enough to get himself crucified for absolutely no reason, and leave him out of it, please.
Okay, great. Let's leave him out of it. Can we talk about good people trying to end the wars? Is that of interest?
Oh, 100%.
Forgive me. I think we could do it in the ways and the name of Jesus to, for the religious to glorify what they claim to believe. Let's walk the walk, appeal to Caesar, do whatever we got to do to save some lives and end some human suffering. Because the world doesn't have to be the way it is. We don't have to continue letting the oligarch rule the world, pick the direction. We don't have to continue allowing the tech boys to increase the surveillance and having the computers spying on us while the CIA.
I'm gonna say something super positive.
Please. Thank you.
If Jesus Christ can give you the energy, the confidence, and the courage to stand up to the people that are ruining everything in the world and unequivocally say, no, I do not work for you. You are not my boss. If Jesus can give you the confidence to do that, then I love your love for Jesus. If Jesus is the individual, the spirit, the way of being, that can give you the confidence and the power to make this world worth living in, I support you 100%.
Well, I appreciate that. And in my own experience, I resisted my testimony. I don't know if you know my path, but I resisted the Bible. I resisted Jesus. I had all sorts of reasons myself, but what I found faith in is the truth. You said something earlier in your earlier Spec Man, in your development, you learned how to trust yourself. Well, that was one of the lessons I had to learn later in my life. But luckily in my life, I'd given myself plenty of reasons where I could trust myself because I wasn't a bad guy. I just made some stupid choices for myself. Once I started trusting in the truth and I started looking for a greater truth, well, what healed me was the truth. When I accepted the truth, I felt these powerful shifts in me, and it gave me a newfound strength and a confidence just because my insecurities, my doubts were overcome. And so to me, it makes perfect sense. The why we should end secrecy is to save human lives and to end the oppression and the trauma. The truth shall set us free.
And the funny thing is, I can literally agree with you 100% on that, Jack. Your mind and my mind are completely aligned. And I must admit, I lived in Spain, for example, and we got ourselves into kind of like a spot of trouble. We were being hippies and we were being, traveling around and doing stuff. And my friend Pepe says to me, "We can get a job in the most miraculous place in Spain." And it's in a really beautiful place. It's called Cabra de Santa Cristo, which translates to the goat of the saintly Christ, right? So he's like, "We have to go there. We have to do this job." And I'm like, "What job is it, Pepe?" It's like, "Oh, it's forestry management. We have to like chop down trees and stuff." I'm like, "Pepe, I don't know how to chop down a tree." He's like, "I don't know how to chop down a tree either, but we have to do it, Robin. We have to do this, right?" So we're both kind of broke because we just went on a sabbatical throughout Spain. So I hadn't worked for about 6 weeks, maybe almost 8 weeks by the time we got to this place, Cabo de Santa Cristo. So and I was already living hand to mouth in Spain anyway, right? But we get to this place, this village called Cabo de Santa Cristo, which is brilliant because it's actually got the name of Jesus Christ in it. This story, it's so funny. So we get there and we end up getting put in this house, this big old stone house in a place called Jaén in Spain, really high elevation, and it was bloody cold, that house. And we end up there, and we end up there with 8 guys, all young men from different parts of Spain, and we were all broke. We all took the job because we wanted the money, and believe it or not, forestry management pays quite well, but none of us actually had any money. So my friend Pepe goes, and I'll know how to solve this. I know I'll get us some money. And I know what's he gonna do? He's gonna rob someone or something? Like, anyway, so he goes out, he disappears for like 5 hours, and then he comes back with this tiny lady, and she's all dressed in grey. Have you ever seen a grey nun?
Jack, what did I miss? I had to go mail some documents off at the post office.
Spec was telling a story. Let's let him land it.
So if you've ever seen a grey nun in Spain, they've got chapters of grey nuns, and he bought a grey, and she asked us all so a little bit of our life story and that, and she said okay, and she pulls out a notebook, and I mean literally just a notepad, and she writes down something, blah 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 blah, and I think it was 15,000 pesetas. It was that long ago. So let's call it $150, right? And that was it. She plugged it off. And I'm like, well, what did she do? She said, with this, we go to the shop and we're allowed to do $150 worth of shopping. I'm like, whoa. Right? Now that was the Catholic Church right there, the Grey Nuns, right? Now that was a lady who was married to Christ in a village called the Goat of Christ, that helped out a group of young men who were in trouble. And trust me, they were paid back every single penny that they lent us. Right?
Okay.
But the church fed me.
Where are we going?
Indirectly, Jesus Christ fed me.
Wonderful. Thank you.
That's right, Jack. We're the biggest charitable organization in the world, Jack.
Well, that is something that we can all do. I mean, the churches have done a good job of, well, decent. I won't say good. I don't want to offer an opinion, but there are many churches and organizations that have done decent with organizing charitable contributions and doing good things. I mean, the churches, a couple of the churches I went to in Spokane, they were so generous with the funds and the volunteers. And so there's a lot of good things that do come from religion. I I do recognize that. It took me a long time. Hey, and yeah, a little shout out for Pixel T. If you want to share a link, please feel free. Please do so, okay? You're welcome to. We are over that 2-hour mark. I'm feeling like maybe some final words.
Well, I've enjoyed being on your show, and I was glad for the opportunity to finish on a true story and a positive note about Christ.
I love
So
it.
thank you for giving me the opportunity for that. And I hope to speak to you in the future. I'm gonna log off. Bye. Thanks everybody in the chat. Bye.
Take care,
Hey,
Spec-Man.
Spec-Man, thank you very much. Appreciate it. It's been a pleasure. Imperius, you were the last to show up, but how about
Jack,
you?
look, man, I feel that feeling of completion, Jack. Every day when I come on your show, I feel like I drop a great load, and it's honestly, I can't, you know what I mean? Like, it just feels like a relief. You know what I mean? It's a great way I can just finish off my day now, Jack. I'm gonna head to the gym in a little bit, get home, I might watch a game, and then we're gonna be done for the day, Jack. Praise Christ, praise God, praise Jack. Screw the chat. I love you, Jack.
Much love, Imperius. I do appreciate you. Have fun and enjoy your evening for sure. And a workout, the gym. There we go. That's a sign for me. I should do that myself. But Dirty Low Life, thank you.
Likewise, brother. Good show.
You were quiet. Please let me shut up because I'm trying to invite you to share your thoughts.
Oh, my problem is, Jack, I start typing in the chat and forget I'm on the panel.
Me too.
Yeah, Spec-Man doing a lot of the heavy lifting today. I was just going to reflect on something you said at the end there, which was the Christ being the crystal, the crystallized energy. And just play around with some words and see what you in the chat think. I've rolled these words around your head. So it starts with a solution. A solution is a salt dissolved into, what's the word I'm looking for? Water is a base, alcohol is one. I forget the word for it now. But anyway, you've got a salt dissolved into a liquid as a solution. That can go through, well, one of two directions. It's either into concentration or dilution. And only when the solvent is the word I was looking for. Only when the solvent is evaporated does the crystallization process occur. So I have this sneaking suspicion that we're all running around looking for solutions when really we are in the wrong direction. And I think if we let the solvent simply evaporate, then the crystals will be left behind just by nature of their being.
That's an interesting perspective. I'm going to give that some more thought because if I'm not mistaken, there's words in the scripture that talk about us being the seasoning, the salt of the earth. Right? And to remove the solvent, what might that be? What would dissolve our salt, our seasoning? The ways of the world, perhaps.
Yeah, my guess is identification.
Okay, into the identification, the idea of our being.
Interesting that we're treated as ships lost at sea by the law. And when you're born, a doctor signs a certificate of live birth, and then you take that to the government and register a birth certificate. And a berth is what a ship is able to bear before it will sink. So the berth of a ship is how much you can fill it with before it goes under. So I think there's a lot to do with water, maritime law, and the nature of the soul. I'll leave you with that. Thanks for having me, Jack.
I love it. Much love to you. Thank you for joining, my brother, my friend, to all the guests, all the viewers, all those in the chat, everyone who participated with creating and sharing in this experience together. Thank you. Thank you, truly. It is with love. It is with love that I start my stream, I share my stream, and hopefully I end my stream in love, but it's times it doesn't always come through, I know. That idea of being the salt with a solvent, and the nature of who we are. I mean, our bodies are mostly water, predominantly water. A good chunk of our body is water and salts and minerals, right? Here we go. What are you saying there? You guys are slow. Salt is earth. Okay. Earth is heart. Salt grows bones, teeth, and alkaline the body and soul. Interesting. All right, I can run with that too. You get, see, I love how we can learn from one another. Different perspectives, even if they're a little out there, they can bring a different perspective, and you can pick up things, get more rounded on what we see, what we feel, what we experience. But the well-rounded part that I want to share, oh yeah, I dropped out, didn't I? I forgot my my thumbnails and stuff disappeared. Love is what gets you through it, man. But you got to give yourself permission to feel love. And the stream title, Inviting Greater Love. You got to believe. Can you believe? I'm not going to tell you what to do. Can you believe that greater love is available for your experience, not someone else's experience, your experience? If you can believe that greater love, not outside of you, but greater love in you, with you, greater love for you, from you, it's all waiting for you. Don't deny yourself the love that you can give to you. Don't deny yourself the love you can share with others. Think that logic through. Why would you deny love? Why would you carry hate? Why would you carry bitterness when the other option is love? Praise love. Praise love indeed. I could just keep repeating about love and talking about God and sharing love and all this stuff, but it would get old and you guys would just, you get used to it. And then you'd be like, I don't need love. I already got love. And then blah, blah, blah. I'm going to wrap it up here. Brothers and sisters, thank you again sincerely. Till next time, choose love, peace for everyone, walk with faith, and of course, live without fear. Have a beautiful night and God bless. Thank you.